And then from that point forward, like where it really exploded was, when Goku went UI and then it crashed Crunchyroll. I remember that night too. And I know you remember, like that's when Dragon Ball Super reached its zenith in terms of popularity. And even, just it carried that ball going into the last episode.
That's when it was at its peak, unquestionably.
Yeah, and despite it being so popular, this episode actually performed its worst in terms of ratings. And I know there was like some things where they switched up the time slot and One Piece aired it's a week before too.
I will never forget the night that UI happened. Everything crashed. I got to see it, thankfully, with a Keyhole TV. I was watching the Japanese feed. And my review, I will never forget this as long as I live. My Dragon Ball Super review that night hit 100,000 views in 45 minutes. It didn't even get to an hour, and that shit was at 100K. That's like Latin American numbers, bro. I was like, what the fuck? I was happy, don't get me wrong, but I was like, people were really, really wanting to see this, yo. But remember, it was a double feature. They hyped it up like that.
But I actually made a video about this.
Back then? Oh, now? Oh, you meant now.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I got you.
The highest rated episode of Dragon Ball Super was episode 47.
Was the Trunks
and then
episode,
the highest rated
one.
episode of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Kai was also 47. Because Dragon Ball Kai was episode 47
Super
was when
Saiyan.
Goku transformed. So yeah, I find it interesting that the highest 3 rated episodes for Ball, Super, and Kai was episode 47. But, even with that taken into account, I thought the Tournament of Power, for as much hype as it gets, it wasn't even all that good. Like, it dragged on a lot. And, like, Jiren, like...
Well, I feel that way about the retellings, but I agree with you. It ain't that good. It's just not.
He should have booked him like Kane the 2001 Rumble, just have him throwing people out.
That's what I wanted.
It was predictable in all the worst ways. Like you knew they were gonna win, and Jiren was being stupid, and then the sky was always dark and stuff like that.
I think I had a guy tell me like that Super and Tournament of Power was like the peak of the Dragon Ball fandom, and he didn't know. I was like, no, bro, it's nowhere near as big as it was back in the day. But the reason why it felt like it was big is because of the internet. Because now we're seeing people from all over the world and we're able to talk to them. Whereas before, those same people were still watching Dragon Ball. We just couldn't communicate with them. Now we can. So yes, it feels bigger, but it's not bigger. It's kind of like when they say that WWE's going through to a boom period now. The only reason that they're going to a boom period now is because they're charging more money for tickets, so they're breaking all these records because everything's overpriced. But viewership-wise, they're nowhere close to where they were at during the Attitude Era, and that's objectively true. And I seen some people on Twitter, again, thinking they know shit. Oh, I think that this era is bigger than the Attitude Era. Well, you don't know jack shit what you're talking about because it's not. And we have numbers. We have numbers to prove it.
And all this stuff that we're talking about would have been with the Gen 4's experience, which is the closest people have come, or Dragon Ball has come to replicating what the Gen 1s went through with the manga, the TV series, the movies, the games. But that's what the Gen 4s would have gone through, especially in Japan. Brand new podcast coming on the 24th of December. That's right, Christmas Eve. The 5 generations of Dragon Ball with Geekdom 101. You don't want to miss it.